And okay. Hi, James. Welcome, James Coma, my dear friend. And James is from the UK and living in Spain currently. And I don't know, why don't you just introduce yourself, James? Go ahead.
Actually, I'm not from the UK. I grew up in Spain. I'm from New York. We can just do it all over again if you want.
Where
Um,
did I get the UK from?
I don't know.
Oh, interesting. My bad. But go ahead,
I'm as
James.
American as an American guy can be. Kind of a douchebag dude.
Oh,
I'm
no,
just
I don't
kidding.
think so.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'll just give you a little bit of my background. So I'm an actor, performer, and I also am a business owner and an entrepreneur. And I started very, very early, in the acting business. And, I found out when I was probably 18, 19 years old that, just the classic get a real job thing wouldn't work for me. So it's kind of hard. I don't know why it's kind of hard to introduce myself, but to make a long story short, um, I always kind of had this feeling of, being meant for more. And so at 16, I had my first experience as a professional actor, and I was like, that's kind of what I want to do. But what happened is that I realized that all of these things that I had learned through acting in the show business, because it's a business just like any other, um, I could actually put that to use and build a successful business. So I was actually talking about this like 2 hours ago with a friend, and what I realized was most successful celebrities, actors, whatever you want, they have their acting career, their music, whatever, and then they have businesses. Like Bon Jovi has a bar. He's got, I think he launched what is it, like a spirit, kind of beverage or something like that. And I was like, I was seeing all of that, and looking up to, of course, like we all do, we look up to people, that inspire us. And I saw a common thing, which was all of them had their dream career and a business, right? Whatever that was. Then there's Harrison Ford, and that's like the person that clicked for me, which he always talks about how he became a carpenter, um, to kind of wait out until he got his big break, right? And through being a carpenter, he actually got his role in Star Wars. So all of that inspired me, and I said, wait a second, what if I reverse engineer all of that, and I start by building a business, so that can give me the financial freedom and the freedom that I need to then reinvest that money into making movies, making music, and producing other people's dreams. And so that's kind of when it all started. And that was my vision, and up until this day I'm still working on it, but I'm seeing that that's kind of leading to results. So
Sure.
that's kind of a little bit of the background.
Did you have that vision when you were little, as a little boy? What was you aspiring to do? I mean, a lot of little boys want to be a fireman, or you know what I mean? Did you always have acting that you wanted to do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because the thing for me was that as a very, very young kid, I always had the vision of being in business and being an actor. And growing up, that was like my biggest, you know, dream and my biggest pain at the same time, because it's hard, when you're facing the hardships, you're fighting against all odds. And if you don't have a vision, right, you don't have a sense of what you want to do, you're still trying to find yourself. It's not that hard. I mean, you just go through the hardships, and then sometimes you find out what you want to do through that. But to me, it was like, it was so crystal clear that it was almost scary how I always had that dream. And it
Hmm.
was always the same. I had to do something as an entrepreneur, as something in the arts.
Yeah.
And it has never changed. Never.
So
Like,
you never had any intention of being a 9 to 5 or ever.
never, like not at all. And it's funny because it was always like I was joking about this the other day. I said, I think I'm just crazy because I just talk about it like it's the most normal thing to do, because I never saw it in my mind as something impossible. I was like, I know it's going to take work. I know it's going to take an awful lot of hard work, effort, patience, blood, sweat, and tears. But I'm like, this is your life,
Mm-hmm.
And I always say this quote, which is, you only get one chance at living this life. Even if you reincarnate, you're still not going to live the same life.
Right.
So make it count. It's worth it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Do you
So
think you are a miracle?
I'm a miracle? No, not at
No,
all.
no, I believe that you are. I believe that everybody is a miracle, and they just have to believe that and know that they were meant for something more. And I've always had that feeling within me too.
Right.
I always knew there was something more out there for me, but pinpointing it is been a little difficult, you know. I like to talk just like you do, and I always thought a talk show was
Well,
my
here we are, right?
here we are. Yes. Are we manifesting or what? Absolutely.
Definitely.
Like go ahead, continue.
So yeah, I don't think I'm a miracle. I never thought I was special in any way. I just do believe that this, like, people nowadays they talk about the one percenters, and you see guys like Donald Trump, Grant Cardone, Tom Cruise, Harrison Ford, all the names you want, which are guys that are doing very well in what they do. Elon Musk, whatever, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't think they're special. I just think they're wired different. And I think there's some people that just, there's something about them that they're just meant for more, and they have this capacity of not giving up. Like, no
Mhm.
matter what happens, they're just get back up and get back up and get back up.
Resilient.
And so I always tried to surround myself growing up. I didn't have people like that around me. So the movies were actually a big influence for me, because it was like when I was having a bad day, when I needed, you know, an escape, when I needed to feel good, when I needed to cry, it was always a movie. And so I
Mhm.
kind of learned from all the movies that I watched. I learned about life, and all the people that I saw in those movies, all these actors and stuff, they kind of became my role models. And so
Mhm.
what I got from them is that if you want to be in the big screen, or if you want to be in top of any industry, you just have to accept that you're going to have to work your ass off.
Mhm.
And don't try to cut corners. Don't try, like, thinking that you're special in any way. It's not going to help you. It's actually going to do the opposite. So, like, when you
You
ask me, I'm like,
go ahead.
I'm a pretty regular guy. I just don't give up, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
no matter what happens, I always keep going.
But that does make you a miracle. That does. You are your own unique person. You are a unique miracle. And I do believe that each and every one of us have been put here for a specific reason. We can't
Yeah,
be good at everything. We just got to find what we are passionate about and then focus on that. And once you do that, I do believe that you can come up with a way to earn money by doing exactly what you love. And then work is never like work,
right.
right? You know? So I think
Yeah,
we have the capability to do anything as long as we believe it right here. Mindset is huge. And you have to
everything.
know that you are worthy of whatever it is that you want to pursue or do. So you are
Absolutely.
worthy. So you are absolutely a miracle. We all are.
I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Um, but I like what you said about mindset. For me, it was a huge thing. When I was 18 years old, I was going down the wrong road. And so, growing up with, I always, I think you already know, I grew up in a very difficult environment where, nobody in my family ever made a lot of money. They were not at all millionaires. They were very broke.
Hmm.
And they were broke, and broken, you know. And my dad was a factory worker, and there was all these things, you know, that I had to go through, and I never really felt like I quite fit in with my family. But when I was 18 years old, I had like this kind of moment where everything kind of clicked for me, and I was like, it's gonna take time, but I have to brainwash myself. Like I literally went crazy, and I kind of started ignoring all the, you know, broke mentality and all of that. I was like, it's possible, you know.
That,
And you just, it's not that you have to believe it. It's like, not, there's nothing that's off limits in life.
that's right.
Like I actually believe that everybody is like, everybody has godlike powers. You just have to unleash them, you know.
Exactly.
And
I like
actually,
that. I
sorry,
like
go ahead.
I said I like that. I like that. Yeah, I agree.
Right. And the problem is that most people, you know, sometimes in Christian communities and stuff like that, which I'm a Christian, you know,
Mhm.
um, but sometimes they tell you, you know, like, oh, you're not God, don't play God and stuff like that. I'm like, no, listen, there's a difference between playing God and having a godlike power, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, God put you here for a reason. And all these dreams, all these visions that you have, do you
Mhm.
think you'd have those dreams and visions just laying there just because? Like, no, it's there for a reason, and you have the responsibility to act on those things, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
to me, it was like, you know, especially at that age of 18, 19 was a very difficult age because I had to let go of everything I thought I knew and start all over. I was like
That
reborn,
that
you
is
know.
a great, great point. And I think that's where people need to start. Rethink what, unlearn everything that you have learned up to now and then
Yep.
start all right. Yeah, for sure.
And
And
for
put
an open
yourself
mind.
in. Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't know what we don't know, right? If you
Exactly.
don't know, people living in certain environments or just situations, that is all they know. And they
Right.
don't get themselves out of that current situation, that current environment, and open themselves up to the world and what all the possibilities are. It's just mind blowing. I used to be a Debbie Downer, you
Right.
know. Um,
You know.
I was always a good kid and I played sports. I was a jock, I guess is what they called me, whatever. But but I never believed in myself like I do
Right.
now, like I do now. And that is from the conditioning that we are growing up with.
Yep.
So, it's not like you can blame somebody. You did this to me. You know what I mean? Because our
Yeah.
parents only know what they know too.
Yeah.
They only can deal. We don't come with an owner's manual, you know.
Right.
So,
I
you know,
wish, but
yeah. And I see so many kids out there, kids, even adults now, that blame everything, their whole entire life on their family or their parents or whatever. And let's face it, we all know right from wrong,
yeah.
right?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, especially when you get to be, 13 up. I mean, right from wrong, good grief, but we still are only with what we had in our eh, surroundings, you know.
Yeah.
So people don't have the mindset like they can do anything. And I think that's a shame. And I think there's a lot of people that miss out on huge opportunities and life in general because they are stuck in that cave. I don't know what else to call it, but yeah.
And I mean, I have to, I agree with everything you said, but it takes
Mhm.
a lot of guts for somebody to really challenge everything you've learned, you know, to say, well, fuck this, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry for
Yeah.
cursing, but it's like, you just have to say that and just say, well, let's see, you know. It's kind of like
Exactly.
you have to, you know, go out on a limb and just jump without knowing what's there, and just kind of have faith that whatever needs to come will come.
Yeah. How important do you think it is to have a mentor figure in your life when you get to that point where you gotta, jump or sink or whatever?
Well, I actually have a little bit of a different mentality when it comes to that, because, in my life, as I said, I've always kind of been the lone wolf, right? So I'm very self-made in the sense that, I taught myself how to sing, how to play the guitar, how to act, how to build a business. I read books, I went to seminars, but I never really had like just one mentor that I stuck to. But I do think that role models and having some kind of figure that you can look up to in your field, I think that's made a huge difference. I know it has for me,
It has for me.
having that person that you can kind of mirror and be like, okay, I want to be like him.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like them in the sense of, oh, I want to be the next Tom Cruise. No, you don't want to be that, but just have somebody that you can look up to, and focus on those traits that they have, and
Mhm.
kind of embrace that as, and make it yours. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important for somebody, and not just when you're starting out, but all throughout your entire life. I think
Mhm.
it's very important to have role models, people that you can, get inspired by
Sure.
and take knowledge as much as
You
you
know,
can.
it's funny that you say that because my husband and I had a conversation similar to this. It's been a while back, but it it's almost like we have mentors in our lives and maybe don't even realize it until we are old enough and our mind is well developed in the good way. That you look back on life. And my husband does this when he first started working for the company he retired from. He was there for a long time, but they had this old guy that would just do odds and end jobs. He was an electrician. And I'm telling you, my husband learned more from that man, and not just electrical work, but common sense and things that if you don't have the right person in your life that you, like you said, that you can look up to, that you respect, that does everything right in your eyes,
Yeah.
then it's who knows where you're going to end up. And I never thought I had a mentor in when I was young. It's like who meant, but there really was many mentors. My phy ed teacher, my softball coach, all these people that really did make a difference in my life and made me walk just a little bit of a different path,
Yeah.
maybe
And
to
another
what I
thing,
would have.
that I like to mention here, because I know that, and I had an experience with this, but sometimes you actually learn from other people's mistakes, you know.
Absolutely.
Um, and so you have to be able to be that kind of person that can learn from pretty much anything. That's why I
Mhm.
said, you have to keep an open mind in life, you know. So, I always like to I like to read a lot, and of course, being an actor, you have to read awful fucking lot. So I like to read, and I like to read about other people's experiences. So
Okay.
I've read books from entrepreneurs, business owners, actors, and I love to read biographies. And there
Oh,
was an
interesting. Hmm.
that I loved, which was Matthew Perry. He passed away, unfortunately, not that long ago. And I was cast in a play that they did, which was recreating France. And I was like, watching the scenes and preparing for that work, and that guy just caught my eye. I was like,
Mhm.
I believe there's something he can teach me. So right after I finished that project, he wrote a book. I think it was called uh, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, or something like that. And in that book, he was talking about his struggles with alcohol, how he grew up in Canada. He always felt very disconnected. He always felt like oh, once I move to LA, everything's gonna be fine and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And I wanted to read that book for a long time. And it wasn't until he passed away that I actually said, shit, it's the moment. It
Yeah,
was like, wake up call, dude. Just read that freaking book.
right.
And I remember I was reading the book
Did you
and
know of his struggles when before he died?
I did. And that
Okay.
was the reason why I wanted to read that book because,
Mhm.
as I said, growing up as a very young kid, I started using alcohol myself.
Mhm.
And up to this day, I still struggle with that. And so I was like, if I can read about somebody else's experience, I believe there's something there. And
Mhm.
the book, it's a hard read. If you are familiar with him and his work and all that stuff, sometimes it's hard to see what he was going through,
Right.
especially now knowing how he ended up.
Mhm.
But there was a lesson for me there, which was, if you keep going down this road, what's in the end is that you're going to end up like him. So that book for me was a wake up call of this is exactly what you should not do.
Mhm.
And I always say that I think that he wrote that book right before he passed away for a reason. And
Mhm.
that's his legacy for the world is that he has left, kind of a book that tells you, don't do that, you know. So that's kind of also somehow part of mentorship.
Mhm.
It's that yes, we all make mistakes, but can you learn about your own mistakes and other people's mistakes? You
Right.
know, so it's very important for me more than having that, one figure that you look up to be able to take in the knowledge and keep growing no matter what. So,
Mhm.
for example, with the example of the book, it wasn't easy for me to read that. A person that I looked up to, just passed away. Now I'm reading his book. But it was like, hey, big wake up call. I don't want to end up that way. So
Exactly. Exactly.
that's really important too.
And then be a shame if somebody like you did not take that away from,
right.
what happened to him. Yeah, that was quite sad. Very, very sad. If we're not learning from others, what good is it? So yeah. So who do
People
you
start
look up
it's
to
really
now?
well, I don't like to drop names, but Tom Cruise has been one of my biggest influences.
Hmm.
And Harrison Ford, Michael Douglas. There's a bunch of people that I look up to.
Those are
Donald Trump,
amazing
Grant
stars.
Cardone.
Amazing.
So
Yeah. You
yeah,
you got the pedestal there, right? That's cool.
right.
That's cool. So have you had acting jobs? Tell me what you've done.
I've had acting jobs.
Mhm.
When I was starting out, my first like professional job was with a BBC show that they were filming in the city where I was living, and they were like, we need extras and people, day players and stuff like that. I was like, hey, I'm in. So I started there, and that was like the moment where I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Cool.
And then yeah, I mean, I actually worked with a guy named Tom Hollander. So that was a very good experience for me. I mean, we didn't have any scenes together, but that was like the beginning of it all. That was
Mhm.
when things actually started to get real. I was on a real set with real actors, A-listers, and I was like, this is the rest of my life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it was a very fun experience, and I was actually also talking about this earlier today because I was kind of, preparing for the podcast.
Hmm.
Um, but from there, I just, kept on having, all sorts of odd jobs, and I did a lot of theater, community theater. As I said, I was on a Friends play. We recreated
That's
an
cool.
episode of Friends, and yeah, that was a really cool
Mhm.
experience. But back then, I was very focused on working in Europe, and that at some point I got very frustrated because things were not happening for me.
Mhm.
And so I was like, you know what? I think you're going down the wrong road. And that's when I had that aha moment of just focus on building a business and do things your own way, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And that's when I started building my business because I wanted to be able to do my own work, to be able to create my own movies and just like Tom Cruise is doing, to be able to put my stuff out there and have my own point of view, you know.
Do
And so
you
I was like,
think, James, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you hit on a
no
key
worries.
point right there that I want to kind of dive into. Um, AI, okay, all the technology now. Do you think that it would be pretty easy for you to create? Because I know somebody that I work with is into making movies, and he is just over the moon with all the AI stuff and the things that we can do now. And
Yeah.
you are young enough, you grew up with technology, so this is not something hugely different for you. So
It is.
what, go ahead. I mean, I want to
So
know how you think AI can help you in that pursuit of doing exactly what you want to do.
so you know, AI, when it first came out, a lot of actors, you know, we were in panic. And I was one of them. I was like, shit,
Okay.
you know, it's gonna take over and we're done for the rest of our lives, right?
Hmm.
But now that it's kind of settled, I think that we've all kind of realized how it can be a tool to help us grow. So,
Absolutely.
you know, with that being said, I think that now is the best moment to do anything you've ever wanted to do in life. Like now is
I
the time.
I
It
so
has never
agree.
been easier to build a business,
Hmm.
to be a millionaire, to do a movie, to whatever it is that you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
Like you got a phone, you got a computer. That's all you
You are
need,
connected. You are connected to the world.
right?
Information at your fingertips. I mean, immediately. What is this going to
Right.
do for the medical side of things? I'm thinking, you know what? People are going to start living longer, I think, than they ever have. I mean, it is when I was growing up, my parents both died pretty young. They both had health issues and early 60s. My mom didn't even make 60 years old.
Wow.
My dad was 66 or 7. And yeah, and it's just I think that is going to make a dramatic. People are living to 90 easily these days, right? My folks have been gone for 23 years already. That's crazy. That's
Right.
crazy. And they probably would have still been around. There's lots of things coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so go ahead, finish. Sorry, I interrupt a
Oh,
lot.
no, I was just gonna say that it's kind of interesting because I think that as far as health goes, we're kind of going backwards. You
Oh,
know,
you
like
think so? Tell me why.
people are so much worse, and there's a lot of nutritional deficiencies out there. Anything that you have, like you got a little headache, there's a pill for it. And I think
Oh,
that, you know, Robert Kennedy Jr. actually talks about this, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so into this campaign, you know, which I don't want to get into politics, but it's because, you know, we really have a problem with health. Like the foods that we're consuming and the way that we're eating, and doctors, you know, they don't tell you about the benefits of taking vitamins. They just give you a pill. And I think that we're just going backwards 50 to 100 years ago, you
that's an
know, like,
interesting concept. And I think pharmaceuticals are absolutely killing us off.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what they do, you
Hmm.
know. So
Yeah.
yeah, but on the other hand, you know, we also have YouTube and Google and all these channels that can really help you, you know, contrast the information that you're getting. And so it's not like you just have to, you know, oh, I go to the doctor, they just gave me this pill, so I'm just going to take it and hope that it works. You can
Yeah.
actually go and say, oh, wait a second, what if this is actually because I've been eating too much or too many carbs, or maybe I just need to eat more fruits, or maybe I need this vitamin, you know,
Our
you have
bodies
the
are,
ability.
yeah, our bodies are made to naturally heal. And all these
Exactly.
things that we are putting in, that's why I'm such a believer in the CBD. You know,
Right.
I am. They got me off of 14 different medications, and half of those were pain medications. I'm telling you, it was making me an old lady like really, really fast. But I think where a lot of people struggle is everybody needs instant gratification. They don't, they want everything right now. You know, drop 20 pounds, there's a pill for that. You know, gain 20 pounds, there's a pill for that. You know, it's just got a headache, there's a pill for that. Well, all these things that we keep putting into our body, it is not helping us, not helping us. And that instant gratification that everybody wants,
Yeah.
you know,
Just remember,
that's the
that's
repercussion.
not the way our bodies were,
Hmm.
But I'm glad you brought it up because you actually see a lot, not just with health, but with business, career goals,
Right.
relationship goals. And I see that a lot with, certain people that sometimes they come into contact with, which, most of my friends, I have a very, very, very close circle, which is like probably one or two people that I
Hmm.
really trust. The rest, they're just acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why is because most of them, they're so focused on that instant gratification. Really see a lot of people that they don't understand, like what I'm doing, for example. Building a business, it takes time. And you're not going to become a millionaire in your first year of business,
Right.
you know, but you have to have that long term vision, you
Hmm.
know. And we live in a world where everything is like, oh, get rich quick, get rich tomorrow, make $1 million this week. It's like, no, like that's the reason why so many people drop out of following their dreams. That's why there's so many people out there with the potential of being a celebrity, a movie star, a big business owner, the next president of the United States, and they will never be able to do it. As harsh as that sounds, because they just can't handle waiting a couple years until that happens, right?
Right. Right.
And that kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier of things were not working out for me as an actor when I was starting out. But that was God saying, you're not supposed to do it this way. You know, there was a better way. And now I found that better way, right? Just because
Oh.
I had that long term vision.
Hmm.
And if people were just able to say, to stay on track and navigate through the hard times, because you're going to have hard times, you're going to have challenges, and life is going to throw shit up at you. And you just can't work around that. It's just a
Hmm.
fact. But giving up on your dreams just because you're going through a, breakup, just because, oh shit, now you don't have enough money. Like, I don't know, save some money and then pick up right where you left off. It's like, if you're able to think long term, 5, 10 years from now, where do you want to be? Then you really have the potential of really doing something great. And it's that mindset,
Yeah.
like
Sure.
when somebody's like rushing me into something, I see that a lot in business when they try to rush me into making a decision, or they're like, oh man, you're missing out on money. I'm like, well, then I know not to do business with them,
Exactly.
because that's
Yeah,
a
that's a
big
good
red flag
point.
for me,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Fear, FOMO, fear of missing out.
right. I
FOMO.
used to have that. And I'm like,
Hmm.
why? You actually miss out when you rush into things, because there's a lot of hype with everything. Like, everybody can get
There
hyped
is.
and
There is.
everybody can get motivated right now, but to stay on track, you know for 2 years, 3 years, or however long it takes,
I say
you
3 to 5. It honestly, it takes, in order to master anything that you want to do. And I was going to ask you too about what your thoughts are on formal education opposed to what the options are right now. I mean, if I could do it all over again with my son, I would not push him for college like I did. I absolutely would not. They got to find their own way, their own thing. And why have tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000 in bills to pay off for the rest of your life? You're starting kids out with failure already looming over them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But but
I think the
it
same.
does take 10,000 hours to master something. Whatever it is that you're going to do, you need to put the time in. Doesn't necessarily have to be in the formal education system. And being an ex-teacher,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I feel that way, but I absolutely do. Why set your kids
People
up
should
for
listen.
all this debt right out of the gate? My goodness, you're setting them up for failure, I think.
I mean, you're gonna find, I personally think that college is worthless. And I always say that high school and elementary school, it's just something that they invented to keep you busy until you turn 18 and you can go get a job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's basically what it is. I started, I wanted to go to college because I was like, well, I'm just going to become a lawyer and make a lot of money working for this big firm. 3 weeks into college, I was like, what the heck am I doing here? And I dropped out. I didn't even last 3 months. After the first quarter, I was like, I'm done. This bullshit ain't working. So, I think that the way that things have been up until now, it's just not working anymore. Like,
Hmm.
not only you're starting off kids when they go to college with failure and debt, but actually, you don't learn how to build a business in college. You don't learn
Yeah.
how to be an actor, how to be successful, how to be influential, how to be powerful or anything, any of those things, if that's what you're interested in, right? You don't learn, I mean, unless it's you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, you don't learn how to actually be on your own. What
Right.
they teach you to be an employee so that
Hmm.
then you can go
They
out, get a job,
do. They
and with the promise
absolutely
of
do.
you're going to have the best job out there possible, they
Hmm.
get you to go to college.
It's just a way
But
to conform us all. Here, go do this and pay this for the rest of your life and just conform. We all need you in this little kennel, and that drives me nuts. That drives me nuts, but I didn't always think that way.
right. But the interesting thing is you see a lot of people with college degrees working at KFC. And
That's
it's
right.
like, what does that degree mean? Anyways,
Hmm.
you still work at KFC. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying, by the way, just in case, I'm not saying that working at KFC is a bad job or anything like that. Like I used to do that.
Hmm.
But it's like, we're in the same place. I'm a college dropout and you have an actual degree. So how's that happen?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's
And how
just,
does that
yeah.
happen that there's people that went to high school with me, they're still, either going to university or they got their college degree or whatever, and they are, having all these jobs. And
No job.
yeah, they
No
do
job.
have some jobs, but I'm like, I barely graduated high school. I dropped out of college and I'm building a business and
Mhm.
and I'm doing all these things and I'm like,
You're paying your
something wrong.
bills. Are you in debt?
No, I'm not. I, I've
Awesome.
never I've never even taken a loan or any type of credit,
Nice.
any of them. I'm 100% self-funded, which
Wow,
is
that's
what I
awesome.
understand. When I say nothing is off limits, I really mean it. Like you got to go out of your way and you got to go the extra mile, but you can do it. And
Yeah.
college doesn't teach you that.
No, it
High school
doesn't.
doesn't teach you that. You
Hmm.
have to go out and just try. And
Yeah,
maybe on your first business, you're going to fail. And that's okay. Just pick up the pieces and try again.
that's
And on your
right.
first relationship, maybe you're going to break up. And that's okay. You pick up the pieces and learn and you do it
Hmm.
again.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just the way life works. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember when I made, back when there was the whole COVID thing, with the pandemic and everything, it was a huge thing for artists because we didn't know what was going to happen, just like everybody else, right? But the acting industry was kind of very challenging at that time.
I can
But
imagine.
yeah, and after everything kind of went back to normal somehow, everything switched to a digital approach, right? And I remember the first self tape, which is like an online audition. The first self tape I made, it was awful. Like I can't tell you how terrible that self tape was. I actually deleted it. I was like, I don't want to see this never again.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always tell people, did I give up my acting dreams because of that? No, I did not. I
Yeah,
just did it all over again and failed again and failed again and failed again until I got it right.
that's right.
Until I got my neurons to work better so I could memorize better. And
Mhm.
I used that, which, again, mindset and learning, right? Like I use that as a learning tool of what is it that I'm doing wrong and how can I change it?
That's right. Learn from it. I don't call them mistakes anymore. They are just lessons,
Exactly.
lessons in life, and you have to experience the ups and the downs. Otherwise, you know what? Something's wrong if you're not doing that. And you got to learn to enjoy the journey because that's exactly what it is. It's a journey. Try to enjoy it, try to relax and go with the flow. And you're going to know. You're going to know if it's right for you or, like you said, you knew
Yeah.
like this is where I want to be, you know? So,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to experience life so you do find that, what your niche is or whatever. I still honestly do not know what my niche is, but I've learned to chillax about it and
Right.
just, you know what? I know I'm a good person. I know what I'm doing is good for me and others, and the people that, let's talk about corporate America compared to entrepreneurial. What's the difference to you, or is there a difference?
I think there is a difference. I mean, I had corporate jobs, and of course, I've been an entrepreneur. But I think that nowadays the difference between having a business and just doing some digital selling is so thin that people call selling, like you get into network marketing. Most
Mhm.
people don't treat it like a business, right?
You're right.
And
You're right.
we've reached the point where the difference is so thin that either you're a 9 to 5 worker or you have a business. And we call having a business to anything. Like, I don't know. I go door to door selling books. Does that make me a business owner? Well, no, technically, no. You're just a seller, right?
Right?
It's still a job. It's still work. You might still be a freelancer, but you're not a
Mhm.
business owner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, as I said before, I think that right now there's a lot of opportunity out there,
There is.
but people really need to find out. It basically depends on what your goals are in life, you
Hmm.
know? Like for me, it's very important that I have the freedom of making decisions of what I want to do with the money that I make, having that freedom to reinvest,
Hmm.
to have, be able to, as I said, take that money that I'm making, of a business and fund a movie or invest in a production company, whatever it is, right? So for some other people, it might just be that they just want to work from home and they don't care if they have a boss or not. Well,
Hmm.
then to those people, I would probably say, do not go build a business because you're gonna fail.
Right,
And some
right. And if you think you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. Period.
right, exactly, and some
Yeah.
people do need some kind of guidance as far as what to do, what the next steps are. But for me, as I said, I'm pretty much self-made, and I don't like it when people come and tell me how to run my business, how to live my life. I'm like, mind your own business,
My choice.
right.
Your choice. That's right. Absolutely. That drives me nuts too. Another thing that drives a lot of things drive me nuts, but I keep a positive attitude. But you think of network marketing and all these online businesses, and everybody's like, most people are, oh my God, there's a pyramid scheme and this and that. Well, what do you think corporate America is? Only that person's got to die before you can get in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something drastic. What do you think that pyramid scheme is? And first of all, pyramid schemes are illegal. Hello. that drives me nuts too. Why would people think if they knew me, why would they think that I would present them with something that was illegal? What does
Right.
that say about me? What does that say about what that person thinks about me? Good
Right.
grief, are you kidding me? Do you know what I'm saying? Is it
Yeah.
just the mentality that they just, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of people just have that mindset of, there's a quote that I love, which says, the rich keep getting richer because the poor always say it's a scheme or it's, how do you call it? Like, um, it's a scam, right? And
Right,
I'm like,
right, right.
so true. I think this is just, something that people, unconsciously say to talk themselves out of an opportunity.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
and by the way, we have to acknowledge here that business has always been shady, but there's also great business owners that
exactly.
actually are making an impact in the world, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same with network marketing, with sales, with corporate America, with a local business, coffee shops, whatever it is, right?
Whatever. You know what? Don't be so lazy. Do your due diligence and check this company out or check this
Right.
person out. We have technology at our fingertips. You can absolutely do that. But people opt
And
to, oh, that's a scam
people,
because they don't,
people,
they're lazy.
yeah, they just like to be told what to do, which
Mm,
is why I say you're one of those people. Don't go build a business.
right.
Because when you're
Exactly.
building a business, you need to have initiative and you need to, you know, be able to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. Let me look into it. Or, yeah, this makes sense. Let's just go for it. Right.
Yeah.
And you got to be discerning. And some people, they're like, oh, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And like you see it now with, the elections. I see a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, you're just going to vote for whatever Democrat, your favorite celebrity tells you to. And I'm like, can we just take a moment here
Mhm.
and give people some credit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my favorite actor might vote for a Democrat. If I want to vote Republican, I'm going to vote Republican.
Right.
Like I'm a different person. Just because I look up to somebody or I like somebody doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I'm going to do everything that person tells me to. And it's
Exactly.
the same with network marketing or sales, whatever. Like just because that person tells you, hey, this is what worked for me or this is what I believe,
You're
doesn't mean
not
that
the
you have to
same
do the same.
person. You're not the same person as them, you know?
Exactly, just be bold. As I said before, you don't have to be the next Grant Cardone, the next Tom Cruise. You have to be the next you.
Hmm.
So okay for you to look out to them, yeah, absolutely, and take as much as you can away from them, because
Hmm.
that's why they're sharing it with the world. But
Right.
also understand that you are your own person. You got to have your
Absolutely.
make your own ideas. And most people that get into network marketing, they're like, okay, so what do I do now?
Hmm. Yeah.
Can you just be a little proactive? You just, I don't know, if I throw a ball at you, are you just gonna let that ball hit you in the face and
Right.
get knocked out, or you're gonna actually try to
Yeah.
throw it?
It's like, what do you want to do with this business? What do you, you have
Exactly.
the choices to do or act or be whatever. This conformity drives me crazy. I
Me too.
will not be conformed. I'm sorry. I will not. Anybody tries to do it, I'll kick them in the you know where, in the nerds or whatever. Just get away from me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's their own person. You got to find what makes you happy, what makes you tick. What's going to
Yeah.
make you the best version that you can be? And that's what it should all be about, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
But I also understand that it's very easy for people to just complain and not change anything. Like it's
Hmm.
easier to say, oh yeah, it was a scam, so I'm not going to do it again. Oh, my dad just was a factory worker, so how can I ever aspire to anything else? Or
You,
yeah, well, I have this job, and I see a lot of people that like make excuses for everything. I'm
yeah,
like,
you know,
just
I
allow.
had that excuse for about 5, 6 years. I did because I got scammed online. Had to do with Bitcoin. Got me for quite a penny. I mean, it was devastating. So here I am today. This happened 7 years ago. Just today, though, now I'm trading online. I'm learning how to trade from something that took a lot away from me. So that could have put me in a hole. And it did for a good 5 years, and it's just, I was scared of it. I didn't want nothing to do with it. And now I've changed my tune. It's like, hell yeah. How ironic or how perfect would that be if I just did really, really well with something that took everything away from me?
Right.
That would be the cherry on top for me.
Yeah.
So I think
And
it was meant to be. I do. I
that's the
do.
thing. Sometimes things are just meant to be. And you basically just said it yourself. The key here is that you did not give up.
Right.
And there's really no way around it. That's what we were talking about earlier, is that there's no way around it. You have to go through it. And personally, as
Do.
an actor, one of the things that I found out that has been a game changer as far as, my acting career is that I have a lot of experience. Like, I basically jumped from job to job when I was younger. And back then I was like, shit, dude, you're a fucking asshole. But now I'm like, every single one of those jobs taught me something that then I was able to use either to put into a character or gave me some kind of motivation
Mhm,
or gave me an idea for this. And I'm like, as an actor, what I found out is that I want to experience. I
mhm,
don't want to fake it. It's just that's not what acting is that I want to experience. If I'm going to play a lawyer, I want to read every single piece of, every newspaper that talks about, laws. I want to read, the laws of the United States. I want to read everything. I want to have that knowledge, even if I never use it ever again.
mhm.
But it's the experience.
Yeah,
And if that's true for an actor that's preparing for a character or working on a project, whatever, what makes you think it's not true in life? You
right.
know, and you and I were actually having a conversation about this the other day, and you reminded me of a quote that Shakespeare wrote. It's actually part of a monologue that says, "The whole world's a stage, and the men and women in it merely players."
Yes, absolutely. And we have to play that role. I mean, we have to some extent. And I'm not saying don't be your authentic self. We absolutely need to do that. But it's almost like it is kind of an acting gig in a way because you have to represent yourself in a way that doesn't turn people off for one or piss them off or whatever.
Well,
You
I
just
think
have to be
that's
a
actually the
people.
other way around.
Yeah,
When I started out, when I started putting myself out there and kind of growing an audience, for me, I was like, oh, I'm never going to talk about this. I'm never going to talk about that. I had a very strict rule of never getting to politics. And then I was like, you know what? What kind of person I am if I cannot speak up about what I believe in? So
absolutely. I agree.
I do believe that we all have personas, right?
Mhm.
I would probably not talk about politics if I'm in a business meeting because it just doesn't make any sense. We're like,
Right.
what does have to
Or
do here?
religion and politics. It's just a
But if
no-brainer.
somebody asks me, like, I do have my opinion, and I'm not gonna back down because it turns people off. I'm like, well, you
Absolutely.
don't like it, then I don't like you either. I'm like,
And you
you
know
gotta
what?
be
They're just not your right type of people. They're not your people.
exactly,
You know,
exactly,
you got to find your tribe for sure.
yeah,
And that's by being your authentic self.
yeah,
If you're not doing it here, then you know what? You don't have to change. You just maybe change the venue just a little bit. You move someplace else or surround yourself with the people that you do look up to. You
yeah,
know, you have a
yeah,
choice. We have a choice. God, it gave us creatures the only thing that he ever created that have
yeah,
choices. Not even the angels get to choose. Do you know what I mean? That's
yeah.
kind of
I love it.
inspiring. It's like, yes, I can be my authentic self and I give two shits somebody else thinks.
Yeah,
They're not living in my shoes. I'm not living in theirs, you know? So
exactly.
I
I
gotta
think
tell
that's
you, James, I really like you. We kind of hit it off. I do, and I think you're
thank
amazing
you.
to be around, and I just like your ideas. I may not agree with every idea you have. Don't
Yeah,
need to, right? We can still be
exactly. That's the
friends.
point, you
Absolutely.
know.
Hmm. Yeah. So this has been great. I can't believe we've been on here over an hour already.
I know.
In fact, well, just a little over an hour, but we weren't recording the whole time. But I,
Now though, right? Yeah.
what's that?
I was
What
asking if you're recording.
I
Can you
am.
imagine if you
I am recording, so I got it all, and I will share that with you, and we'll create something really good out of it, I think. Um,
definitely.
I want you, let's leave the audience with if you could give, 13, 14, anywhere up to 23 years. I mean, how old are you? You just had a birthday. How old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Oh, I was thinking you were 22. Just turned 21.
Yeah,
Wow. And you know what? You've got a good head on your shoulders. You know what you want. That is half the battle, isn't it? And having that mindset.
yeah.
So if you could leave any kind of a message for whoever's listening, let's do that now. Give a
So
message. Mhm.
the, the first thing that I would say is to have a vision. Like, don't limit yourself and just get clear on where you want to be. And you might not have the full picture. Actually, I was reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, and he talks about this. Like, it's okay if you don't have the full picture yet.
Mhm.
Just get a sense of where you want to be and where you want to go, and that's the first step. Having a vision is like having a GPS. If
Yes.
you have a GPS but you don't have a direction, you're just going to walk around and get lost. And in life it's the same. That vision is that destination, and then life is what happens as you're trying to reach that destination. So definitely enjoy, learn, and grow, and don't be scared to take the leap of faith, you know, and have hope and faith, and
Yes.
just never give up. Like, no matter what happens in your life, don't allow anything bad that might happen to you, any challenge. It's just, as we said, right? Just a lesson. It's just something
Mhm.
that it can either break you or make you.
That's
So
right.
use that, get stronger and get back up, but just have a vision and never give up, because you only get one chance at this. So if you think it's too late, it's not. Just go get it and do not give up, no matter what. Like, I can't stress that enough. Never ever give up
Yeah.
until you die.
We have
That's
one life. We have one life. And I'm telling you, as a 63-year-old, I can't believe I'm saying that ish. But it's all up here. It's all in how you feel about yourself and enjoy the journey. Not we don't need instant gratification. We don't need that. Why rush it? Why rush that journey?
right.
Enjoy it, learn from it, and be the best version that you can be. Right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
and that's just another quick thing, is that enjoy the journey, but also don't dwell too much on it. Like,
right.
one of the things that I've found for myself to be really helpful is something happens, okay, you learn from it, you grow, but then don't dwell too much on it, because then you're
Right.
missing out opportunities, right?
You
And if you
are
have to make a
absolutely
mistake,
correct. And
just go and make that
yeah,
mistake.
I always say, just whatever happens in your life, there's whether it's heartache or whatever, there is a lesson to be learned there. And sometimes if we don't learn that lesson, that same thing is going to continue to happen. So
Yeah,
stop whatever situation it is and try to find the bright side of it. Try to find something good out of every bad situation, I swear I started doing that and I can find good out of anything. I absolutely can. So I'm proud of myself for that.
Could be worse.
Mm,
That's like
right.
my whenever something goes wrong or shit hits the fan, I'm like, hey, it could be worse.
It,
Sometimes people are
always.
like, how could this be worse? And I'm like, I don't know. It could be all that. So it could be
Yeah,
worse.
it
I don't need to know.
absolutely.
I'd rather think it could be worse, than most people say, oh, it could be better. And I'm like, no, it could be worse. So
Hmm.
be thankful. At least it's not that bad.
Yeah. When things
So
like that happen, you know what? That's God closing doors. That that is not where you're supposed to be. That is not where you're supposed to be. So go with the flow. Just
yeah.
go with the flow. You'll find your way. You absolutely will. So,
And
James,
let
thank
God lead you.
you. Yes, absolutely. God, when he closes doors, there's other ones waiting to open. You just got to
Yep.
close that door too and, move on. Move on.
Yep.
So I love the conversation we had. Thank you so much, James. And
Too.
are
Thank
gonna,
you for having me.
oh, you're welcome. Anytime we can do this again too, if you like. I would do
Totally.
this 24/7 if I could. I would.
Well, as long as I get a coffee break and a couple hours of sleep,
That's
I'm good
right.
to go.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna end the recording right now. I'm just gonna, but anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. And